In Sonora, Mexico, two cartel members enter a government building and turn over their guns to security. At that moment, former Marine Colt McCready also enters, turning over his belt to security. As the two men enter the elevator, Colt also enters with them. They ask him what floor, but Colt suddenly attacks, taking out both men easily. He gets off on the floor. The other gangsters realize what's happening and attack Colt, but they are all easily taken out with expert moves. He enters a room where the men are partying. First guy gets his chest plate rearranged, and the other guys fall easily. The Cheeks books it out, and Colt finishes off the men, before cornering the last trembling gangster, showing him a picture of his niece Haley, who is being held by the gang. The one gangster who got away runs downstairs, alerting the armed guards, and they see Colt on cameras being led to a room by the man. Colt warns him that Haley better be all right, and they enter the room to find Haley safe but scared. Colt then kills the man. Only two armed guards enter the floor, and they fall easier than the unarmed gangsters. Colt has retrieved a flash drive somewhere between all the asses he kicked and leads Haley to safety. They arrive in Arizona when Haley wakes up, thanking Colt for saving her life. She wonders why the cartel would take her, but Colt tells her to talk to her dad about that. But Haley reminds him that he ain't her daddy, he's her stepdaddy. Back in Mexico, the gangsters are cleaning up the bodies. Cartel boss Garcia tells his men they must find out who the gringo is. It is revealed that Haley was kidnapped because the gang felt that her stepdad, Walt, was stealing merchandise that they were moving through his ranch. The gangster that led Colt to Haley turns out to be Garcia's nephew, who was holding the flash drive Colt took, which seems important. Garcia then has the gangster who ran away from the room killed in front of everyone by his other nephew Cruz, telling his men that a soldier never runs away when his family is being attacked. Colt and Haley return to the ranch where she is greeted by her mother Angela. She also thanks Colt, but he reminds them that he did not do it for Walt, but for Haley. He warns them that the cartel will be coming after them, so they better get moving. On a road somewhere, Sheriff Jasper Calloway is telling his kid about all the bad guys he is taking down. After this, he ironically gets a call from Garcia, his real boss, telling him that his nephew Victor is dead and he must find out who Haley's father Walt hired to come get her. Jasper tries to back out, but Garcia reminds him that seeing Jesus could always be an option. Jasper agrees, and Garcia orders him to go to Walt's ranch and detain him, Colt and Haley, and he will arrive shortly to deal with them himself. He then sends a picture of Colt over to Jasper, who recognizes him. He tells Garcia about Colt's military background, but Garcia does not care and only wants revenge for his nephew. Colt is keeping an eye out at the ranch when Haley brings him a fresh shirt. Hey. His eyes are up there, Haley. Meanwhile, a convoy of Garcia and his closest soldiers are making their way to the U.S. Walt arrives at the ranch, not even concerned about Haley, but mad that Angela called Colt for help. He knows the cartel is after him and demands that Angela and Haley leave with him, but Colt refuses to let them go. Walt accuses Colt of causing the mess, but Colt grabs the little turd, telling him to leave Angela and Haley alone for good. Walt backs down, claiming that he had returned what he stole and the cartel screwed him over. But Angela calls his bullcrap and loads her luggage into Colt's truck. Angela regrets leaving her home, but Colt accuses her of still choosing Walt despite knowing he was involved with the cartel. But Angela tells him she had no choice since her first husband died and left her with bills and debts, and Colt himself was missing when she needed him. Just then, Colt spots two police cruisers heading to the ranch and smells trouble. Angela tells him to hide in the bunkhouse, and Walt, who is inside, sees him run into the building. Colt grabs a shotgun and waits as the cruiser and jeep pull. 3 cops, including Jasper, emerge. Walt steps out, and Jasper tells him he is under arrest, leaving Walt shocked as he thought they were on the same side. Jasper tells his 2 deputies to arrest Walt and asks Angela for Colt, but she lies that she hasn't seen him in years. Jasper accuses Walt and Colt of causing trouble in Mexico, but Angela tells him the men had it coming since Haley was kidnapped. Jasper's 2 deputies become concerned hearing this, but Jasper shuts down their questioning. Jasper insists on talking to Colt as there is a warrant out for his arrest, and when Angela denies seeing him again, Walt rats him out hiding in the bunkhouse. Hearing this, Jasper heads back to his cruiser to use the speakers. Meanwhile, His deputy Wyatt secretly tells Angela that he will look into what's happening. Jasper tells Colt to surrender himself as they just want to talk. But hearing no response from him, Jasper orders his 2 deputies to go and get him, reassuring them that they probably won't die. Deputies Logan and Wyatt pull their guns and approach the house cautiously. They enter the home, but Colt knocks them down quickly before exiting the building with his gun aimed at Jasper. Angela attacks Jasper, giving Colt the chance to jump in his Jeep and take off, with Logan and Wyatt shooting at him. The deputies take off after Colt. They are speeding along the dirt road when they spot Colt driving on another road next to them and merge onto his road, hot on his tail. Back at the ranch, Jasper takes Angela's and Haley's cell phone and puts them in his cruiser. Walt pleads with Jasper to let him go since he snitched on Colt. But when Jasper refuses, he instead begs that Jasper puts in a good word for him with Garcia when he arrives. Back with the car chase, the deputies try running Colt off the road, but he maintains control of the Jeep. Jasper radios to them for progress, when Garcia and his men pull up to the ranch, and you can hear the butt cheeks quivering from here. Logan pulls a shotgun and manages to shoot Colt's tires, but the 2 cars end up crashing. They come out to check for him, but Colt is already hightailing it up the mountain. Garcia and his men exit the Jeeps, only to learn that Colt has taken off with the deputies in pursuit. Garcia knows that Colt is dangerous, so he sends 2 gangsters, Reyna and Cruz, to go after him as well. Walt tries to save his skin by apologizing to Garcia and throwing Angela under the bus, blaming the mess on her. Garcia accepts his apology and asks him about the flash drive Colt has, but seeing that Walt has no idea, Garcia shoots him dead. Garcia then takes Angela and Haley out of the cop car, claiming that he had nothing to do with her kidnapping, and wanting to know if she saw his nephew with a flash drive. Haley does remember Colt holding a drive, but lies to Garcia, who orders his men to hold the 2 women inside the house, as he is certain that Colt has the drive. Meanwhile, deputies Logan and Wyatt come upon a split in the trail and decide to split up. The 2 gangsters see the crashed cars and also join in the pursuit. Wyatt is alone on his trail when Colt ambushes and disarms him, but Logan has caught up and holds him at gunpoint. Colt complies with his orders to surrender, but the gangsters have already arrived, opening fire and killing Logan. Colt returns fire with his advanced no-recoil shotgun before he and Wyatt go for cover. Cruz reports to Garcia that they have him cornered, who then orders the men to kill Colt and retrieve the drive. Cruz yells out to Colt that he wants the drive, but he refuses to hand it over. As the 2 change cover, Wyatt is shot and killed. Colt, however, has circled around and manages to shoot Reyna dead, but runs out of bullets. Cruz comes to check for him, but Colt jumps into action and disarms him. Cruz is no pushover and begins to put up a good fight, showcasing his skills. He reminds Colt that he killed his brother, but Colt tells him they will see each other soon before pulling a blade and slicing Cruz up. Cruz removes his belt as defense, and the 2 men begin to trade even blows and strikes. Cruz manages to disarm Colt, but he loses no momentum and gets back into the fight. Colt's experience and skills begin to get the upper hand as he slowly overpowers Cruz, before using his own jacket to strangle him to death. Garcia radios back into Cruz, but dude is already at the pearly gates dabbing up his brother. Garcia radios to Cruz but gets no response, so he sends 2 more gangsters, Lobo and Aguilar. Garcia wants to know more about Colt, and Jasper tells him how Colt saved him from drowning once. He also adds that Colt was a part of the military, but he was a loose cannon who attacked his superior officer and has been on the run ever since. He adds that Colt is very skilled and brutal, but realize that they hold his very weakness inside the room. But Angela warns that they will all die. Colt is rushing back to the ranch when Lobo and Aguilar spot him and try running him over. They miss and decide to spin the block. But Colt shoots Lobo, but he clearly disrespects the laws of motion to jump over the incoming van. Aguilar decides to try again, and this time Colt's gun has a malfunction. He turns and runs in a straight line, in a wide open field, and somehow leads Aguilar to crashing his van in a cliff. Jesus. Colt shoots Aguilar in the hand, disarming him before demanding to know if Angela and Haley are okay. Colt learns that the drive holds information on all the runnings on the cartel, including bank accounts and addresses. Colt then shoots him dead before taking his gun and racing off back to the ranch. Jasper doesn't hear his men answering their radios and fears they may be dead. He gets cold feet, trying to back out of working with Garcia. but Garcia reminds him how nice his kids are before ordering him to fix this. Colt is near the ranch when he spots Jasper driving away from the ranch. He gets to the barn where he takes out an armed gangster. A gangster inside the house spots the body and alerts Garcia, who gets furious. He grabs Haley and Angela and brings them outside, yelling for Colt to show himself or he will kill the ladies. Colt is nearby and hears him, and hearing Angela's scream, he decides to drop his gun and step forward. The gangsters all hold him at gunpoint. Colt calls out to Garcia, telling him that he has the drive, but his family has to go first. Garcia has one of his men disarm Colt, then check him for the drive. But as the man reaches towards him, Colt attacks and kills the man holding Haley and escapes a barrage of gunfire coming at him. All the men open fire on the house, forcing Colt to barricade himself inside and go for cover. Angela picks up an old display rifle and helps Colt in keeping the men at bay. Garcia sends 2 of his men to the back of the home to ambush Colt, but Colt spots them and opens fire, keeping them outside, before closing and barricading the back door. He tells Angela and Haley to run upstairs, while he keeps the men running for cover. Haley picks up the phone to call the cops, and Angela reminds her that she will be getting Colt in trouble as he has warrants. Haley still calls the cops, giving them the address and begging for help. Colt's AK runs out of bullets, so he switches to his sidearm. 2 gangsters manage to break in through the back door and split up to look for Colt, who manages to take out the first one, while the other opens fire on him. Haley's dispatcher then calls Jasper, telling him that Haley wants to talk to state police, but Jasper tells the dispatcher that he will respond to the call. Meanwhile, Colt runs to hide, and the gangster comes searching for him, and also gets ambushed. The 2 struggle and let off shots, one of which hits Angela in the arm. Colt manages to disarm the man, who throws him back and pulls a knife. He manages to get the upper hand for a while, but Colt is too fast and takes him down. Garcia calls for his men, but when he hears no response, he orders all his men to rush the house. 2 guys head around back while the other 2 enter from the front. Colt is cornered, but manages to keep the men back before running up the stairs, escaping a barrage of gunfire. The men exchange gunfire, ripping the house to shreds, but in the end, Colt is trapped upstairs in the room. Angela regrets putting them in this position, but Colt reassures her that they will be okay. Garcia enters the room, and 1 gangster goes up the stairs but ends up riddled with bullets. Jasper returns to the farm, this time with a ballistic vest and his shotgun. Inside, Garcia tells Colt that they are getting the drive back no matter what, and seeing that he will have to fight, Colt tells Angela and Haley to get onto the roof. They don't want to leave him, but have no choice, and do so tearfully. Angela and Haley manage to escape the room and make it outside, where Jasper sees them, but leaves them be. The gangsters begin to slowly approach the 2nd floor, with Colt waiting behind the door gun ready. As he hears the footsteps, he opens fire, hitting 1 man but runs out of bullets. Colt then rushes through the door, using 1 man as a human shield, and having a shootout with the last man. He runs out of bullets again, but this doesn't stop him as he attacks the armed gangster and the 2 struggle. One of the men recovers and pulls a knife, managing to stab Colt. Meanwhile, Haley and Angela get to a barn, trying to start an old motorcycle when Garcia holds them at gunpoint, demanding they step outside. He is about to shoot them when Jasper appears, blasting him with the shotgun, killing him. He then turns his gun on Angela and Haley, demanding the drive. Now facing 2 gangsters, Colt gathers his strength and begins to battle both men with expert moves. He gets thrown, but recovers before brutally killing both men with their own weapon. He steps out just in time to see Jasper and puts 2 shots in his vest, dropping him. Colt then gives Jasper the choice of either cuffing himself or going for his gun. Jasper ponders the situation and tries going for his gun but gets a bullet between his eyes. Colt hands the drive to Angela before saying goodbye and riding away.